Hello, this is Deborah Anderson, the Black Woman Animator, coming back to you with another video. And this video is about how I am simultaneously disappointed in the animation industry and also want them to stop remake culture. When I started looking into this topic, thinking about it, researching it, I got so saddened and disheartened by what our industry leaders have allowed the animation industry to become. I feel like they are taking advantage of people's willingness to zombie to the movie theater and just go see anything. I understand that a lot of people are accepting mediocrity, but that doesn't mean that the animation industry has to continue to produce mediocrity. When I was looking at all the animated films that were created from the 1930s and 1940s on, particularly by Disney, they were pushing out 2 quality films each year from the 1940s well into the 1970s. And what the animation industry is doing now is just abysmal to me. I do not have a lot of confidence in the animation industry for what I feel like the purpose of animation is, which is to display creativity. Like just creative industries in general are just taking a downward spiral. And so that's what this video is about. In general, I feel like the animation industry has gotten to what the rest of America has gotten to is making money purely for capitalistic reasons. If you take away the money they're making from these remakes, there's absolutely no reason for them to be doing it. They're taking advantage of people's nostalgia. They're taking advantage of people's acceptance of mediocre content. And I feel like the thing that anybody being able to make content these days has created is an avenue for everyone and to be able to tell their story, but it's also gotten people used to subpar content. So if you take away the fact that they're making millions of dollars on remaking these films over and over again, there is really no reason for them to be making the films. People aren't even taking pride of being experts anymore. When you think about back in the day when they were doing animation, if we just use Walt Disney as an example, he created some of those animations and was decided, okay, I need to get some anatomy. Our animators need to know about anatomy. When they did the Jungle Book, they need to know about how animals move and all this stuff. And these days, the storylines are weak. The plots, character development is trash. And all we're doing is looking at pretty characters for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and that's it. They're not even taking time to create quality storylines on a consistent basis. They're just letting everybody do whatever they want. There's like not that person at the top that has quality control. And so that's why you can have the same company that makes Into the Spider-Verse make Emoji Movie, because it's different producers. There's no person who is saying, okay, this is the quality that we'll be producing from our studio, and nothing below that can come out. It's just, let's just produce some crap, hope it sticks to the wall. Even if it doesn't stick to the wall, it'll make some money. And there's that. Like, that's what's going on. And even as a 3D professional, you know, several years ago when they were remaking all the 2D movies into 3D movies, an example is the Smurfs. I was like, this does not need to be done. But now they're doing all the remakes in either realistic 3D or live action, and it's just a bit much. Like Like, do you have to do it every couple years, like remake the same movies over and over and over again? And the thing that's really annoying about that is that there are so many stories of so many cultures around the world that have not been told, and they just keep rehashing the same storylines. Let's add a black mermaid, call that diversity. Let's add a black genie, and that's diverse, but let's just tell the same story. Let's just add a diverse character. Back in the day with the I think it was Cinderella, Brandy, somehow Asian people and black people were all related, which is possible if you're adopted and stuff like that, but just like, let's just have these same storylines over and over and use the same characters. So film is just taking the same path as TV. You know, TV, the 90s were and the early 2000s were a great time period of scripted content. If you think of TGI Friday, a lot of even black sitcoms that came out of the 90s. And fast forward to the 2000s, and you had a lot of reality shows because the industry realized people will watch this drama. It's unscripted. It's cheaper to make. And you can make more money from it. You can have all these seasons, all these different cities. You can have the reunion shows where people are fighting, and you can make loads of money off of not paying actors to produce your content. So let's do the same over in the film industry. Just mediocrity across the board. Like the music industry, just as someone who comes from a place that produced quality music such as Detroit Motown, and then just to have someone like Blueface who don't even want to rap on the beat, like like all these people who can just if you look at the XXL cipher and the freestyles that they choose to have, like even the dude who had a really great freestyle, The Baby, apparently all that was written, which I also grew up in the time of 106 in Park, where my understanding of what a freestyle was is that it's off the top of your head, and so that's the ultimate creativity. But now, because the industry has to go with trash, now that freestyle can be written, which I ain't even like a hip-hop head like that, but my definition is still off the top of the head. So you have and then the other XSL people where their freestyle is like that's what you came up with. And so music is doing it, sports, that's why I don't watch the NBA, because it's not even real basketball. Like, America just so mediocre. We went from like JFK wanting us to get to the moon. We did it in less than a year's time of the Russians having their cosmonauts go to the moon, and we wanted to be the best, and being the best included actual quality and actually being the best, as opposed to just saying we're the best. And then fast forward to 2019, where it's just like, let's just do stuff, which there is power in that. But can we have some quality in the industries? I understand that regular people have the power to do stuff, but if it's the actual industry where you have to spend time working to get into it, can that produce some quality as well? That's all I want. That's all I'm asking for. Please, can we get back to quality? Also, when I was researching this, I was wondering, would I even be inspired by the animation industry that exists today? Like, if I was a child growing up in this version of the animation industry, Would it be inspirational? I mean, if it's all I knew, I guess it would be. But just to grow up in the time that I did, I guess I'm using my bias upbringing of having Disney, having Hanna-Barbera, Looney Tunes, even fast forward Animaniacs, all that type stuff. And then just having to see what it is riddled down to today, even the type of animation that people use, where it's not the full animation. I mean, it is a different style, but it's just, I'm not gonna call it laziness, but it's not even a full aspect of traditional animation. It's all trying to take shortcuts to be able to produce content. And so when I talk about remakes, I'm not talking about Incredibles 2 or Toy Story 4, because those are different storylines. I'm purely talking about rehashing the same storylines over and over again, or even making them worse, like in Lion King. And I feel like being a bit dramatic in saying this, but I think Jon Favreau is taking a thread of the animation industry, pulling it and unraveling it and making it trash. Like, why are we letting this like non-animation live action / actor dude determine what animation should be? I don't get it. Why? Why? Like, why are we letting him do this? Because I remember liking The Jungle Book. Even though I thought Christopher Walken as King Louie was kind of weird, I just, his voice is just weird to me. And so I remember liking The Jungle Book though. But Jon Favreau did not like The Jungle Book because he felt like it was too stylized. And so that's why he took The Lion King into his hands and commenced in obliterating that. And having more realistic animals that talk. Like, why are we letting this dude do this? And so there was the article that came out where he didn't even want to call Lion King an animation. That's why it was shipped as a live action at first, because he didn't want to call it an animation because it's not stylized. Why are we letting this man, like, the animation industry has been trying for years to get the respect and acknowledgement that there are multiple ways for things to be animated. It can be respected, it can be stylized, it can be realistic, etc., etc., etc. But we're letting this like dude who didn't study in a classroom, or even, you don't even have to study in a classroom, didn't study animation at all, and letting him colonize the word animation to whatever he wants it to mean, and then bastardize it and say that Lion King is not an animation because he doesn't want it to be an animation because what? Because he wants to win awards and wants to be in the normal categories for the Grammys. Why are we letting this dude do this? Answer me this. Like, Lion King is an animation. It's a realistic animation. It can be called animation. Regular dude, get out of the animation industry. Stop destroying our industry. We're already doing that enough by ourselves. We don't need your help. Do I look sad? I do want to say that remake of Mulan looked low-key fire though. They took out a lot of, the reason they don't have the dragon is because they took out a lot of stereotypical things. So that's cool that they're trying to respect the culture, but the trailer looks fire. And a point that people keep making, that they were particularly making with Lion King, is that this movie is for kids. So why do you care? And all, like, what is that this movie is for kids even mean? What are you trying to say with that point? Like, can somebody in the comments explain what this movie is for kids means? Because if I had children, I don't want my children to see trash. I don't get it. So children are okay with seeing trash, and these Movies aren't just for kids. There are adults that like these animations. If you look at all the excitement that was surrounded the 3-D re-release of Lion King, you would be an idiot to think that the 2019 version was only of interest to children. Like, have you been paying attention? Like, I can't stand people who personally think that animation is just for kids, trying to press that on to other adults who like animation, who like these storylines, and saying that it's only for kids, so only kids should judge it, or it's only for kids, so you should not comment on it. And the fact that a bunch of people think that people should not be able to comment on Lion King, even if I was not in the animation industry. First of all, shut up. Second of all, letter that starts with FU. And then third of all, I comment on whatever the heck I want to. Like, why do you care what people comment on? I don't get it. I don't want to come off as very angry in this video. I am angry. I am disappointed and angry. But people be saying stupid stuff and stuff, and I don't be liking it. But yeah, like, what is the point of a creative industry? What is the point of creativity? Like, if you're not going to be creative with it, like, what is the point if it's only to make money? And I can understand if they were taking, you know, how freelancers do a bunch of work that they don't want to do so they can do passion projects. But even all these studios take that approach. They just want more money. They want to create a film, create toys, create a TV show, create pajamas, and then do it all over again. At least with comic book movies, they have so much content from comic books, which thank goodness there was quality back then where they were actually trying to do good storylines. So they have so many good storylines to pull from, and they are making, which is genius because that's making a lot of money. They just have all these separate movies, put them together, then have them all separate again, put them together, like, money, money, money. Like, if I could make something, I would definitely be creative if I did it, but if I could make something where I could just put them all together and pull them all apart and just continually make money off of it, so that I would have time to do ultimate creativity, not just be a capitalist. Can't say that word, but but at least with comic book movies, they do keep coming out with like the same Spider-Mans, but Into the Spider-Verse set a precedent. A lot of movies are setting a precedent of being quality and including creativity and using some of the characters we love. But there are so many storylines that people who even don't like diversity can be creating, rather than these ones over and over again. And then if you add in the diversity of all the cultures and even if you just take America, there are so many stories in the fabric of America that can be told that are new, and people are refusing. Well, not that people are refusing, because there is an indie industry of people who are doing this, but just to see in the 1940s, twice a year, Disney was coming out with quality films, all the films we know and love: Cinderella, Snow White, Jungle Book, Bambi, Aladdin, Little Mermaid. Oh my gosh, just if you look up the first few decades, like, hit after hit after hit. What, man? But we don't have that anymore. We have people making Cars, Cars 2 and Cars 3. And the only reason Cars 2 and Cars 3 was made is because of merchandise, because Cars 1 wasn't even good. Also, people are making this point of how somehow for our children to enjoy what we enjoyed, it has to be remade. Like, were these movies created on rock and chisel? Like, we got MP3s now, MP4s, DVDs. Just pop it in and they can watch what we watched. It don't gotta be remade. Why? Children are the same throughout the decades, throughout the centuries. It does not have to be remade for any made up reason that you come up with to shut me up. One thought that I have is, like, what would Walt Disney think? Like, he created an industry that birthed the 9 old men who kind of created the crux of our animation education today. The 12 principles of animation, just how you can do animation. Like, you have to know the rules to break the rules, and just to create an industry that caused so much innovation. I mean, with, oh my gosh, like, I'm wondering what he would think in addition to other powerhouses, Tex Avery, Hanna-Barbera. Man, like, just all these people who were at the beginning of animation and made it what it was. But it's just so ingrained in American culture to be so capitalistic. But one thing that I am the most upset about in which I feel like the animation industry is kind of being destroyed, or that my disappointment in it, is that they're using 3D wrong. Like, and not in you should only use it in the way I think you should use it. Like, there are just so many ways that 3D is already being used that people don't even realize because it's being used so right. Like, if you think of the visual effects industry, like, there is realistic animation being used in visual effects. And, like, when animators back in the day decided to draw lions and tigers and bears, it wasn't because they needed it as a backup of live action and they just didn't want to teach lions how to talk. It was because it was a medium they used to do something specific. When I was in school and took my script writing for animation class, something that my animation professor taught us is that there is absolutely no purpose in using animation as a medium. If you're going to use it the same as live action, then you can just use live action. Like, Jon Favreau could have just did some Homeward Bound type stuff, like, or just go full National Geographic. Like, why do you have to use The Lion King for his mission? Like, why are you trying to create realistic animals that talk? That's like a dichotomy, oxymoron. Like, why? And this is causing people to not even respect 3D in general and kind of brush it off. Like, 3D hasn't had a good decade or two to get its footing, get its bearings, to get any type of respect. And people are already trying to like bastardize it and use it for whatever they want. That is not for the animation industry. It's just for their own selfish reasons. So there's not been this holy like embrace of the what stylized 3D can provide. I mean, I look forward to people just going into the different avenues of using 3D to do 2D, using 3D to do stylized 3D, using 3D to go realistic. My personal feelings on realistic 3D is that it could be for realistic things like National Geographic, medical reasons, architecture, all that type of stuff. But if somebody can crack the code on how you can use realistic 3D and not go into the uncanny valley and still have a good story, all power to them. But they're sucking at it right now. Like, they are really sucking at it. So I feel like they're using 3D so wrong, and people are shoo-shooing it now. Like, it's not, and once people shoo-shoo it, because people are already shoo-shooing animation as a medium because they don't think adults can appreciate it. And now it's like, how are we gonna get our respect back? I just would like there to be leaders in our industry that want, I mean, there's Brad Bird, there's Peter Ramsey, there's a lot of, and I like what they're doing with like Coco, the Book of Life, Bow, and how they're having more multicultural films, and those are definitely quality films, and they're doing their research. I just wish it was the standard. I guess it's that analytical side of myself where even though I like the creativity, I want there to be a certain standard of quality in our industry, like there was, like the days of old. Like, I want us to grow and be innovative, but I still want us to have a standard. So I'm really disappointed in the animation industry. They're not taking that time to write those quality stories. And I really am anti-remake culture. I literally only saw Lion King so I could do a review on my YouTube channel. Just when you think about the different eras of America and how they had an impact on America's future, I just feel like this era is very blah, very meh, very mediocre. Like, people aren't generally striving for quality, caring, creativity, innovation, optimism, all the good things. I feel like we're just in a very plainer area of our country and history right now. So I hope that gets better. I hope that in that multiple people can create content, that more quality content is being created out there and it's being shared. If I come across it, I'll try to share it with you. But I just want you to like so I know it's real, comment and tell me how you feel, subscribe to seal the deal, and sign up for post notifications to show your zeal. And I will see you in the next video.